Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris, the podcast on which I reply to your questions and concerns and just share my life with you in general. Today, I'd like to start out by kind of apologizing for yesterday. I mean, while I don't really take back any of the things I said, I still meant it. I still really do dislike the behaviors of a lot of men and women. I just hope that no one felt like they were being attacked or anything, because that was definitely not the intention. So I just wanted to put that out there so that anyone who heard that and anyone who's listening to this is aware that, while it may have seemed a little harsh and it may have sounded like I just put everyone on the same spot, it wasn't meant to be like that. Oh, I completely forgot as part of the intro. That happens sometimes. I'm very forgetful and stuff. But if you want me to talk about something, just leave a comment down below and I'll get to it as soon as possible. I make a new episode every day, or rather I try to. So don't be afraid to give me subjects to talk about, because the more you give me subjects to talk about, the less I'm going to be talking about my own weird ramblings and I don't know, this stuff like what happened yesterday, which probably wasn't very nice. So yeah, help me make this better, please. That would be really nice, and it would also make it a lot more fun. So today I'm finally going, well, not finally, but I'm going back to school again. I'm going to be helping my classmates, and hopefully they'll be helping me as well. Though I gotta admit that I do need to do some work of my own. I really need to start focusing on my exam, because I have a few things that I have yet to implement. To those of you who don't know, I'm making a website. It's part of my first semester examination as a multimedia designer. I need to make a presentation portfolio for myself, one that I can show off to potential clients, or, well, my target audience is, small business owners and recruiters, both from North America. So yeah, I mean, I have to defend that, but not really. I've already defended it in an assignment, and I didn't realize that when I made the assignment. So I should have definitely done a better job at defending it. Anyway, so what I have to do is I have to make improvements, and then at my exam I have to walk in there and I have to tell them, so these are the improvements that I made and these are the reasons that I've made them. Now I have made accessibility improvement, visual improvements based on the reading patterns and eye tracking. I have made proximity changes, and I've even implemented a dog theme. So I feel like I've done a lot, and I need to kind of write down what it is I've done so that I have a list, and then I can practice it here at home, just walking around saying, well, this and that, and this is the reason that I did it. So basically, I still need to practice a lot of theory, because I know the technical side of things. I found out that one of the questions that my teacher might ask is, which color is this? And, then he'll show us a hex code, which, to those of you who don't know, hex codes can look a little scary if you don't know what they are or how to read them. But once you know how to read them, they're not actually that scary. They use a base 16 system, and it's pretty easy to go along with. Like, I can calculate, so I can turn hex codes into RGB values in my head. And, that's not actually that impressive, but it is something that I don't think anyone else in my class can do. So, I mean, that's a bonus. But I think most people who work with hex codes can actually do this, because it's not that difficult. You just take, so hex codes are constructed in, it comes from hexadecimal, so, 16. Anyway, it is and I hate using this word because to me it's an octoform or a pound sign, but it uses a hashtag, and then there are 6 letters or numbers afterwards, and you can use the numbers 0 to 9 inclusive, and then you can use the letters A to F inclusive. And it basically goes like this: A is equal to 10, B is equal to 11, and so on and so forth until you hit F, which is equal to 15. A lot of people get tripped up by this. They think F is equal to 16, but that's, you gotta remember that there's actually a 0 too. So that's where the 16th number comes in. Then what you do is you take, and okay, how do you best explain this? So you have 6 numbers and letters, right? And while there are shorthand ways to write this, you can also use 8 in order to have the alpha channel. You can also just use 3 if you want them to be similar. There are a lot of ways to do this, but the basic hex code is 6 numbers and letters. The first 2 numbers and letters represent red, the next 2 represent green, and the next 2 represent blue. So they come in these pairs, representative pairs, right? The first number or letter in that is something where you say times 16. So if you have 2, then it's 2 times 16, it's 32. Then the next value, you simply add on to it. So you have 32 right now, and then let's say it actually says 2F. Well, in that case, you have 32 plus 15, so that's 47. And that's your RGB value then. So you can translate it directly like that. A lot of people don't seem to be able to do that. They seem very confused by the idea of using letters together with numbers in that way. And I don't know. I've already been rambling way too much about hexadecimals. The point is that when he showed it to us, it was just a shade of gray. So to those, again, who don't know, a shade of gray is just the same numbers. So, I mean, AA, that's a shade of very light, well, relatively light gray, for example. And so that's the question. We don't even have to say that it's a light gray. We just have to say that's a gray. So the answers are really simple. And I think I kind of shot myself in the foot because I have really shown my teacher that I know this stuff already. So I'm like, is he going to test me on something more difficult and then not let me show just how good I am at this? And there's always more improvement to be made on the website as well. But the thing is, we're not really allowed to make improvements unless we can argue for those improvements. We must have a reason. We can't just go in and say I thought it looked prettier. We have to go in and say, okay, so here's the deal. I was looking at some inspiration, and I had this thought that my layout was really boxed in. And that was actually the purpose originally, because it kind of draws attention to the boxed in content. But it just felt weird and it looked weird, and I got that as feedback as well from the users that actually looked at the site. And so I decided to go about how can I fix this? And I thought to myself, what would happen if I rounded some corners more than others? And so I gave it a shot. And for some reason, it didn't look better necessarily, but it felt better, right? So when I looked at it, I just had this sensation, and I shared it with my group members, and I was like, does this feel, not look, but feel better to you as well? And they all agreed that yes, it feels better. It doesn't necessarily look better. And we started talking about, why does it feel better? Because it was just a random idea that had popped into my head. So why does this feel better? And we started searching up on it, and we started discussing it, and we actually found out that according to shape theory, rounded corners lead you inwards. So the way I had ended up rounding the corners served to kind of bounce the eyes of the person reading. And that's probably why it just felt like it was better, because it was more comfortable on the eyes. And there we have it. And then I'd probably talk some more about how I use the top left corner as a sharp one because it's an entry, and I use the bottom right one as a sharp one because it's an exit. So I kind of bounce it in a C pattern when people are looking at it. Because whether you read using a C pattern, an F pattern, or an E pattern, you always start at the top, and that will bounce you right back into the content using that curved corner. So, I can defend it, and I keep rambling about my exam, and it's because I'm nervous about it. I don't normally get nervous with exams, but I can fail this one. No, okay, I can fail every exam. What I meant to say was I can't fail this one. And the reason I can't fail this one is my vacation to Canada this summer. I won't be able to go to the re-examinations. And that would really, really suck. I mean, I'm going to Canada in less than 3 weeks. And I am so excited to go there. But if I fail this exam, I won't get to stay there for 2 months. I'll only get to stay there for like 5 weeks maybe. And that's still a long time, and I'll get a lot from it. But it's just a little sad. And yeah. I don't really know what to do there. I'll figure it out. I won't fail. Like, why would I fail? Everything I've done is at least mediocre. And that's the thing. I haven't done anything that's just straight up bad. I mean, I've made some mistakes, but you're allowed to make mistakes. And I can also fix those mistakes. I already know at least one that I've made, where I definitely had to tell my teacher that, oops. Because I somehow got it in my head that indigo and orange were split complementary. And that makes no sense. But I guess it's because indigo and brown is split complementary. And I mean, orange is kind of brown, and yeah. Orange is just a really light, what's it called? Reddish brown, really. Which always messes with my head, because I kind of want it to be more of its own color than anything else. But yeah, it's a brown, like orange is brown. So do with that information as you will. And so I ended up changing the colors, which also resulted in a better color scheme. So yeah, I used color theory to fix a mistake in my color, and also I had bad contrast. The contrast is much better now, and that makes it more eye-catching. And I started using. I maybe shouldn't have done that I should have done that as an improvement rather than in the original one, because I started using slightly tinted shadows, just slightly enough to differentiate them a little bit, and it worked wonders. Like it made it so much better. And so, it's just, I don't know. There's just so much going on, and 3 more days and it'll be over, completely over, and I'm really looking forward to that. Because it will be over in 3 more days. I will pass my exam and then it'll be done. I won't have to think about it anymore. But that does mean that I have to live in a panic for 3 more days, thinking about the fact that I could potentially fail. It's so stupid. And the worst part is that I am not usually afraid of examinations. I don't get nervous. I don't get anxious about these things. They have instilled this fear in me. The teachers did this. And even my classmates agree that the teachers have done nothing to they've actually actively tried to scare us away from the examination. And I happen to know that at least 8 people in class didn't hand in at all. we aren't actually that many. We are only, I think we're 32 or 34 or something like that officially. So 8 people not handing in. That's a fourth of the class. On top of that, we've had a few dropouts. And there are some people that we already know have failed due to mistakes. Because we haven't been able to, like, their websites aren't accessible, which means they fail by default. I do need to come up with an argument for why my website is named in a Danish manner, but I'll fix that. Anyway, okay, yes, this is it for today. Thank you so much for listening to these anxious ramblings and stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna stop now. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.